The drawing process began by picking pictures of animals just offline, looking through different stances that they had. After I had found and researched certain animals, I just kind of went and found pictures online to help get some inspirations on certain poses and things, and I found ones that I really really liked and others that I didn't, and then I started mapping out on those pictures just the straight planes and how the folds worked in their bodies and things like that. And then I, yeah, drew the triangles on them, and then after that I photocopied them and then traced out the lines that I had drawn, so I just had the empty animal, and began the process. The lines, like with this deer here, so I found a picture of a deer that was in mid kind of leap, drew around it, drew out the simplest form of, like with triangles, the simplest form I could get. And I think there's something really interesting about triangles. They give off, even there, it's just outline, but for some reason you can see the folds along the torso, and you can kind of see the bends in the horns, which is something that I really, really like. It's like, even though it's abstract to a point, you still know exactly what it is, which I think is a really interesting aspect of my work. And then I moved on to creating and deciding where the thick and thin lines go, where the more detail goes, and where it doesn't. And that came across in either from the picture or just from like a memory of looking at other pictures, and just kind of the more detail is where there's a deeper color in the animal's skin, or more folds in the animal's skin with fur, or with things like that, like the tusks, what's forward, seeing the tusks of this elephant, the one that's more back is darker with more deeper lines, and the one that's at front has got no lines, because it's kind of showing the shading, which is I wanted to get across, like yeah. It took me a few goes getting exactly the right lines and spaces and the empty spaces where I wanted. I wanted most of the animal to be taken up with lines. I didn't really want many empty triangles, because I think the more empty the triangles, the less interesting it is. But I think there's something about the way these geometric lines make up an animal. There's certain things that make up an animal, their fur, their skin, their organs, everything like that. But I think by breaking it down, it's like I'm trying to break down the meanings that these animals have and make them more simpler so people understand. And I think that animals are something that is even though they're parts of our lives, they're something that is still a mystery to us. We don't know what they do on the everyday basis. We don't know who they are and how they communicate and things like that. And I think by breaking it all down and making it a structured picture out of geometric shapes kind of removes it from that chaos, and you just see the animal in its simplest form, which is something that I find really, really interesting. And I wanted to apply to this project because for me, having meaning within a project is hard work, because that is not how I work. I don't start off with a meaning or a thought or an idea. I kind of get inspired and then it comes from there. In a sense, I work backwards, which is not always good, but it's just how it goes with me. And I think my geometric style comes from me trying to not to just have a destruction, see things as in their simplest form, which is something that helps me in my mind. I like seeing things in its simplest form. I don't like the chaos, and I think that stems from a lot of chaos growing up and a lot of things going on. After I started drawing these, I starting to think about my idea more, and how I wanted to be able to emulate the characteristics of these animals and pair them with humans, how I was going to create that connection. And then I thought maybe, that's when I got the idea of the animal totems and researched about that on the Animal Totems and Symbolism website that I got all my meanings and characteristics from. And I started to really think about that. And the way that it developed was that I decided to put them on human heads. this picture upside down, and I apologize. And then that just gave me a whole new avenue to go down, which I was really, really excited about, and it has helped my project evolve from just an idea to something with more meaning, which I was really, really happy about. I chose to do really simple line drawings as the figures because the heads are so, they've got a lot of detail, a lot going on, lots of lines, and they're very straight and cut, There's no curves, it's very straight and structured. And I think by having the curved lines and just the simple lines and the different poses of the animals really shows off those characteristics and really shows off those animals. And it really makes you, when you look at them, it makes you think about, who are those people that have those animal heads on them? Why do they have those animal heads on them? Which is what I wanted people to think about. I wanted them to look at it and question why, and then be like, okay, maybe it does have to do with animal totems. What do those animals mean? Why do they mean those things for those humans? That was the ideas that I wanted people to look at when they first found my drawings. I did start to come up with these were my first poses, started to come up with different poses, and that'll be in another video that I will upload next. But these poses really stood out to me, and I really, really liked them, especially the rabbit. There was something about that pose that just led me towards putting a rabbit head on it. And I think it's just the way we've seen rabbits form and run, and they'll just, yeah, I'm trying to get my words out. Okay. So yeah, that was about my drawing process.